Hi everyone, today you're going to learn about functions. Functions are the basic building blocks for processing programs. So, what do you mean by building blocks? So, functions are used to encapsulate code. Okay, so think of this yellow box as a function. It can encapsulate many lines of code if you write it in a particular syntax. It can encapsulate many lines of code, and this all combined together along with the yellow box is going to be called a function yellow box. The use of doing this or encapsulating all that code into yellow box is that the next time throughout the lifetime of your program or in some other program, if you want to use this whole thing, all you have to do is make a call to yellow box. If you make a call to this yellow box in your function, it will basically replicate all that is here, all the code, entire code, execute all of that, and without, all the mess of writing all the code again and again, you just use yellow box and you access all of it. Okay, so it is just a shortcut that you create. Now let's take another example of content. So you have all this content on this page, the North Carolina State University Wikipedia page has a lot of information about the history, the campuses, and stuff like that, okay? So all this content has been condensed or split into short topics. What if this was just one article, like this long page article where you had to read everything in order to know what each of these things is? Instead of doing that, when we have long lines of content, we divide them into small chunks called topics. Okay, but we don't stop there. What we do is we create hyperlinks, or we make these at hypertext content, so make them as links, and then you place those links in different places. Like you have all the links here, you have all the links over here, and on this side of the page. So you have all these links which will help you access the content and create a table of contents, right? So now if I want to look at history, instead of reading the entire page to see which of this is the history section, I just click this link and I get here. Now, do you think this link will work only once or just here? No. Whenever you want to use the content which is written in the history topic, all you have to do is use this link. Once you use that link, a person clicks there, he's going to reach this page and be able to read all this content. Okay, this may be a little confusing at the beginning, but as we go ahead and start working with functions, writing them ourselves, you'll get a better hang of this. So for now, just remember that functions are used to encapsulate code inside them, and you can use all that code only by writing the name of that function. Okay? You cannot use it just once, you can use it multiple times by just calling it by its name. Some of the functions that you've already been using are size, draw. You've also used setup, line, ellipse. All of these are actually functions. They have lines and lines of code written inside them to make something happen. For example, the size function has lines and lines of code written inside so that you can set the size of your output window. But how do you use it? You just write size and there it is. You're successful in setting the size of your window without even knowing what is going on inside this function. So now, let's see another function. So there are, so these are the different functions that you use. You've used println in the past, you've used draw, you've used size. All these are called built-in functions because They come with the processing software that you're using, they come with it. So they are called built-in functions. You may have noticed something, that built-in functions also appear blue in color. For example, let's open it up over here. Let me open processing. Like if you see here, the setup function appears blue, size appears blue, draw appears blue. But there is this new function I'm writing, it appears black. So all the inbuilt functions appear in blue, like even ellipse, fill, all of these are functions and they appear in blue. So that's just something nice to remember, that all built-in functions will appear blue. So if you make a spelling mistake in a built-in function, it will not recognize it. You will obviously get an error that processing will throw at you, saying that this is not recognized. But along with that, you can also make sure that since it has not appeared blue, it is not the right thing that you have written. How do functions work? So when you write a function, it works step by step. So this is the first statement which will get executed. Then this is step 2, and then this is step 3. So it is just a line by line execution. It is pretty easy to understand. We just saw what built-in functions were, the ones that appear blue and in which you don't have to do anything else. You just write the name, you just write size, put the right parameters inside the parentheses, and it will work out well. However, you can also write your own functions. Isn't that interesting? So for that, you have to do 3 things. First, you declare the function. Declare means give it a name. For example, here I have given void fun name, which is the name of my function. That is called declaration. Now, definition is not the definition that you think of in language use, like define a word. This is not about that. It is similar to that, but let's not mix it up. Let's keep it aside. Definition is where you tell this function what it has to do. So all the steps of the processing steps, that like for here, void paint would be the declaration, and fill and ellipse and everything that comes inside these braces, or the curly braces, will be the definition. Yeah, let's go back to this. So you have your declaration, and then you define your function. How do you use it? You have to simply call the function by calling. So when you're calling someone, what do? You call out their name, right? So similarly, in functions, you just call out their name. Now, if I say fun name, it is going to call this function anywhere in the program. It will call that function and then execute all the steps that have been mentioned in the definition of the function. So whatever steps are inside these curly braces will all be executed just by calling it by its name. Right? Okay. So yeah, we saw this. We saw function declaration, then function definition, what the function will do, write, draw, check. It can be, checking conditions using if else. It can have for statements that you have already learned last time, the for loops. It can have write functions, writing, or you learned the text function in your tech assignment, and then drawing. It can have anything that you want to put that goes in the definition. Calling a function, you will just call it by the function name. Now let's see a sample program. Okay, I already have it opened up here. Now, void setup is an inbuilt function you are using to set the size of the window. So this is just as it is. Let's just write it as it is. Now, I have another function here. Let's focus on this one for a second. Okay, so void draw red ellipse is a function that I have written here. Now this step, guess what that is? It is function declaration. And this particular block is its definition. So let me say function definition starts here. And function definition ends here. So when I write these curly braces, it means that I don't have to put a semicolon here. Instead, I'm just going to keep writing more. So this is my function name. This is my definition. So what am I doing over here? I am saying fill this color, which will set a color, and then I am drawing an ellipse using the ellipse function. So fill and ellipse are inbuilt functions, so I did not have to do anything else. I just call them over here. Now, what I do in my void draw, let's bring it down here so that we don't get confused. In void draw, I am calling the function draw red ellipse. By calling, I mean that I am using it over here, right? When you call something, you call its name. So I'm calling the name of that function, which is draw red ellipse. So what it should do is, it should do everything that has been written inside that function, right? Okay. So what have I written inside the function? Fill a color and draw an ellipse using that color. So let me see whether that works. Yeah, so it gave me this output where I got a red ellipse, right? Now, this was for draw red ellipse. Now suppose I want to draw a line or like a green ellipse after that. By using a function, what should I do? I can always draw an ellipse, a green ellipse here using the ellipse function. Let's change the coordinates so that we can actually see it. Let's say, oh, yeah. Let's say 400 and 450 and 450. And let's see what this is doing, just writing ellipse there. Oops. Oh. Yeah. So I have these two circles. But what is wrong? I wanted a green ellipse, but I have a red one. That is because I haven't changed the fill color, right? So I'm going to say fill and look at the green color from here. Okay. And then draw this green ellipse. So this should work in order to draw the green ellipse. These two statements should work. Let's see. Now I have a green ellipse. So now if I want another green ellipse, or I want to put the green ellipse first and the red second, what I'll do is I'll have to remove this from here and then change the sequence and paste all this. So now it is easy because this is only 2 steps, but if it was much longer, it would have been tedious to, remove all the steps from one place and put them into another and then make them work. So what I'm going to do is, instead of this, I am just going to cut this out and create a new function, which is, the syntax for creating a new function is you write void, you write the function name, then you write these empty parentheses, the round brackets, When you have there is more content into it, you give curly braces. Yeah. So this is the syntax for writing a new function. You write void, the function name, curly braces start and end, and the round braces start and end at the right immediately after the. And if you see, there are no spaces in between, so be careful with your spaces. Okay. Now I have declared this, and I'm going to just paste my thing over here. Now how should I call it? I can call it just by saying draw green ellipse. If you see, draw is a function, draw red ellipse is also a function, but draw appears blue, and draw red ellipse, draw green ellipse, all the functions that I have written myself, like defined myself, are all appearing black. So these are user defined functions, and these are draw, fill, ellipse, size, setup, or all of these are built-in functions. Built-in functions appear blue. User defined functions, the ones that we have written, will appear black. So just remember that. Okay. Now I just did this to call it, and now I'm going to get the same thing. See? Now if it was, so the order is important, because like whatever you write first is going to be overlapped by the thing you write next, so it's going to come on top of it. So that is when cutting code from one place and pasting into another is extremely crucial. And in this case it was pretty easy because it was just 2 steps, but if it was more, then it would have been really tedious. So writing functions and calling those functions is very, very, very important. And if you look at the format, they look like blocks. So this is your main block, this is what will get executed. This consists of different blocks. So this is one block, draw red ellipse, which is nothing but these 2 steps. Then you have draw green ellipse, which points to another block. This is the block that it points to, which has these 2 steps. So what will first get executed are these 2 steps. Then the next 2 steps will get executed from here. Okay, so that is why functions are called building blocks, because you just divide all the content or all the code into these different blocks and then call them whenever you need it. So that was what we wanted to learn, the concept of functions. And so there are 3 main things that you should know. One thing is writing what are built-in functions. Built-in functions, you saw the ones that appear in blue are built-in functions, which you've been using all this while and you know very well. Second, you should know the syntax for writing user-defined functions or just functions. So syntax for writing functions, your own functions. Syntax for writing your own functions. So what was the syntax? You write void. Do not forget the word void ever. You write void. So why we write void, we are going to see it in class on Monday. But for now, just remember that you just start writing any function name with void. Then you write the function name. It can be anything. It can be whatever you want. You write the function name, start and close round brackets, round parentheses. Do not put a semicolon after that. Come to the next line. Start with curly braces, end with curly braces, go in the middle. Here you tell the function what it has to do. Say print ln and hi. So do not forget this syntax. It is extremely important and you have to remember it throughout this course. These 6 months you just have to memorize that this is the syntax for function. Now if you see, there are no semicolons over here. There is just one semicolon inside the definitions. Okay. So that was all for today, and I'll see you in class on Monday. Bye.